Time to round up today's top stories in the world of science with CTV science and technology expert. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
All right, Dan, let's start with this one, a really interesting story. Strands of hair have led to the discovery of drug usage in Europeans about 3,000 years ago. Were they just getting high, or what's the story here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is from an island in the Mediterranean called Minorca. It's part of Spain now, but it's really just in the middle of the sea. And there was this cave, and nobody knew about it because some rocks had fallen over the opening. But a couple decades ago, they found the opening. They went in there, and they found these boxes with strands of human hair inside them, like locks of hair that are 3,000 years old. And the hair was cut so they couldn't get DNA from it because they didn't have the base of the hair. But the hair, they were able to do chemical analyses, and they found a whole bunch of drugs in the hair. Atropine, scopolamine, and ephedrine. These are drugs that you could get from plants that grow on that island, things like mandrake and henbane, that are hallucinatory and that are basically stimulants. And so it's thought that 3,000 years ago, there was some kind of sort of like some kind of an experience happening on those islands. They don't think that this was just drug use, sort of a bunch of people getting high in a cave. They think this had to do with a shaman and maybe a religious ceremony or something like that. But it just opens our eyes to what was going on 3,000 years ago in the Mediterranean.
A long, strange trip it was.
Yeah, that is fascinating stuff. Okay, something else that might blow your mind. So baseball meets weather. It seems home runs are on the rise now thanks to climate change.
Yeah, so home runs have been on the rise since the 1980s, and there are a whole bunch of different reasons, not the least of which is steroids. But it's not all steroids. People have come up with the idea that maybe when it's warmer out, because the air is less dense, as Bill Coulter will tell you, there should be less drag on the baseball. So if you hit a baseball in cold weather, it shouldn't go as far as a baseball hit in warmer weather. And so as things get hotter, are we going to see more home runs? So they crunched the numbers. They were able to verify from, like 100,000 games and 220,000 balls that were hit over decades. They were able to find a signal in the noise that on warmer days, you do get more home runs. And then looking at how much temperatures are going up with climate change, they estimate that there have been at least 500 more home runs since 2010 than there would have been otherwise. And that in the coming decades, we're going to be seeing hundreds more home runs every season as a result of climate change. It's just an unexpected result.
But pitchers aren't going to like that very much. And then you factor in a place like Denver, where the atmosphere is even less, and the balls fly out of that ballpark. Bill gave me that little hot tidbit there. Okay, Dan, before we let you go here, this is the talk of the tech world. AI apparently can help you improve your relationships with friends on social media.
Yeah, so what they're looking at, I mean, I don't know if you've ever used, I know LinkedIn does this, other social platforms do this, where you get a message and then there's an automated response ready to go that you can just click on that'll send a message back. And so what happens if you use that? And so some researchers made sort of a souped up version of that using ChatGPT to come up with some communications. And what they found was when you have two people communicating that way, it goes faster and people are more likable and they're perceived as more warm. So it actually does help at the outset. But if people suspect that the person talking to them is using that technology, that they're not actually typing the message themselves, they're just picking a response that was auto-generated, they really don't like it. And so they really don't like the fact that the person's doing that, and they think of them very negatively. And so researchers are sort of saying, like, this is a dangerous game you can play. It'll improve your relationships until you get found out, and then it's dangerous. But the other piece is, because people like you more when you're using that, it implies that you're actually not using your own voice. You're actually speaking with a more positive tone than your actual personality. And so you might be losing your own personality by doing that. So type out the message. Don't use the shortcut.
No, exactly. Authenticity always wins. They have this on CanadianNanny.ca as well, where it's like automated sentences and you just plug and press send, and there you go. Okay, fascinating stuff. CTV's science and tech expert, Dan Riskin. Have a great week. We'll chat with you next week.
Nice to talk to you.
You are the best.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, this is exciting news. Daytime drama The Bold and the Beautiful is hitting a major milestone.
That he's with me and you're my cousin. What are you doing? What kind of person does that?
You need to just relax, dial it back.
No, I'm not dialing anything back because no one should have to watch you on top of their boyfriend.
Stop being territorial. You and Liam have been together, what? A couple months.
Well, today's show is the 9,000th episode, and to help celebrate that is actor and Windsor, Ontario native Jacqueline McInnes Wood. Jacqueline, good morning and congratulations on this major milestone.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you, of course. And of course, we have to start off by saying a happy belated birthday to you. I know that was just yesterday as well. But looking ahead to tonight's episode 9,000, tell me about the thoughts and feelings around that major number.
It's an incredible achievement. I am so proud of everyone at the show. It's such a significant moment as I grew up watching the show. So, now to be on the show celebrating the 9,000th episode, it is a tremendous honor. It's a lot of fun in store. Steffi is, it's a kind of a walk down memory lane with her. Very lighthearted, good feelings, good moments. And like I said, nothing too serious, nothing too dramatic, but I'm very, very honored.
Nothing too dramatic, but this will be a Steffi-centric episode. Can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek around the episode, or at the very least, your thoughts and feelings around filming it and what people can expect when it goes to air?
It was wonderful. This is about family, friends, love, a little birthday celebration that they included on the side, which was very, very sweet. Like you said, it was my birthday yesterday. So they incorporated that in the show. But yeah, like I said, it is a walk down memory lane. It's very nostalgic, especially for myself. So you have to stay tuned.
Well, you've been playing Steffi for quite some time now. Does anything in her life mirror yours, or do you feel like you're on different sides of the fence?
It's funny because I feel as though sometimes we live in this gray area because we'll blend together, but I'm not as crazy as Steffi. It is very, heightened feelings with her. She is a fun alter ego. But yeah, of course, you have moments because I play her every day, but I always say that I'm very zen in my life because I'm always playing these heightened feelings with Steffi. But yeah, sometimes it can be a little gray area. You have a little Jackie here and there.
Always fun to do that. And another moment where art kind of imitates life. Your husband on the show, also a Canadian. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up here in Southern Ontario and how that might play a role in your role as Steffi?
You know what? I love being Canadian, and I love working with Tanner. Every time when we're filming together, our Canadian accent comes out, and then our love for Tim Hortons and all the Canadian favorites. And we talk about hockey a lot as well. But it's, like I said, I'm very proud to be Canadian. I was just back in my hometown about a month ago, seeing my girlfriends who I grew up with since kindergarten. Yeah, it's nice. But like I said, yeah, our Canadian accent is, and little moments come out from time to time on the show, and they always have to correct us, especially when we're together.
Absolutely. You can't help but buzz off each other, I'm sure. Jacqueline, this is the 9,000th episode. So again, you were talking a lot about looking back, but what can fans of The Bold and the Beautiful expect moving forward?
Oh, I think it's going to be a very transformative year. I'm so proud, and I thank the viewers for watching and for their continued support. A lot of them have been there from day one. So it is a transformative year. Lots of twists and turns. I sometimes never know which way they're going to go, but I'm very excited. We just got some new scripts, and you have to stay tuned.
And I'm sure we all will be staying tuned. Congratulations again, Jacqueline, on The Bold and the Beautiful 9,000th episode, airing today on CTV.
Undies?
I'm wearing them.
Grace?
What? Yeah, seriously, what?
But only taking one pair?
Duh, I only have one butt.
I think it's safe to say that it's most parents' second most wonderful day of the year when they send their kids off to camp. But what if the send-off turns into self-doubt and the release of bottled-up emotions? Well, that's what you get in this film called The End of Sex. Couples Emma and Josh try to find a way to rekindle their sex life after the kids go away. So joining us now for a look at this film, which is releasing April 28th, are the film stars Emily Hampshire. You'll know her from Schitt's Creek as Stevie, and of course Jonas Chernick from Rabbit Hole, and so much more. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so this film looks really, really funny. The End of Sex. Jonas, you wrote it, and this isn't your first foray into talking about kind of awkward, sexy stuff, because you made a film called My Awkward Sexual Adventure before. So what inspired this one?
I just can't get enough of putting myself and Emily in awkward sexual scenarios.
Yeah, it's definitely not from real life.
No. None of this is autobiographical.
Okay.
I've always had perfect sex lives with all the people in my life. This is based on experiences that my friends have shared.
Yeah. Your friends who are parents.
That's
with
right.
Kids.
Friends with parents and kids. Yeah, no, we did this movie 10 years ago, and it was kind of about sexual insecurity in your 30s. And then 10 years later, I've had kids, and I've been married for a long time, and we just felt we had more to say on the topic. So this is kind of a revisiting the world of sex comedy, but kind of in our 40s and seeing what that brings.
Yeah. It's like a spiritual successor to My Awkward Sexual Adventure. We'll do one every 10 years.
We've got something, in our
every time. Every 10 years, and I'm sure that changes. So Emily, for you play Emma in this film. What kind of adventures do you guys kind of come up with? What is the sexual solve?
Well, I mean, we do have a threesome with Melanie Scarfano, and that goes badly. We go to the sex club. It's nasty.
It's just, it's
dirty.
It's adorable. It's charming.
I mean, we do all the things one would try to do. We do the drugs.
We take some drugs.
The ecstasy.
Wow.
Yeah, which we do not recommend to your viewers.
Yeah.
It was all dramatized.
Yeah.
Right, don't try this at home.
Right.
And just to mention for our viewers, don't take your kids to watch this movie. It is rated R, right?
No, yeah.
Okay.
You do not want it.
No.
No, it's not a kid's
And
movie.
I know that the film premiered at TIFF last year. What was the reception like? And also, you guys have also taken this film to Glasgow and Dublin. So what's the reception
It's
been
amazing.
like?
I've been to Europe with the film. Seeing it with an audience is great because at first everyone's a little uncomfortable because they're recognizing their own lives on screen, but then everyone starts laughing and it kind of brings together. People are comforted to know that other people are also struggling with their sex lives, and I think it's like it brings people together.
Yeah, I've honestly never had more of a reaction in I need to see this on my Instagram for a trailer. I put the trailer up, and everyone was like, oh my God, I need to see this. I think it's just really relatable.
Yeah, I think relatable is a key thing.
Yeah.
And you talk about like kind of sexual exploration, and your character Stevie in Schitt's Creek kind of goes through a bit of that. But would you say your character Emma is quite different? I mean, aside from being a mom who's married.
Very different. Weirdly more like me in a way, just because Jonas and I we go way back and have such a friendship that I can't not be myself with him. So yeah, it's much more me than Stevie. Even though a lot of the things that Stevie did were taken from my life.
Taken?
The thruple.
Taken?
That wasn't
Stolen from your life?
taken from my life and made into television.
Yeah, and this is, I love that it's just a Canadian film too, shot in Hamilton.
Yeah.
So how was that like, the experience? I mean, Hamilton is Hamilton, but talk about bringing
I liked Hamilton.
everyone
was fun.
together for
We
this.
had a great time, and we kind of write to what we know, which for me is it's a very Canadian experience, and yet having seen the film now in the United States with audiences in the UK and in Europe, it really stretches the borders. It goes over the borders. I mean, everybody's seen. Anyone who's been in a long-term relationship gets this movie and relates to it and finds it funny. So Canadian, yes, but universal or global.
Yeah. Okay, that is so powerful. And I want to turn to you now, Emily, because you also released a graphic novel this year, very exciting, called Amelia Earwood, Basic Witch. And this is kind of inspired from your own life and feeling kind of like left out in your family, but not really, right?
Yeah, I mean, Amelia's not me. It was, I was watching the Kardashians, as one does, and I was like, this is a real family of sisters, and what if I just happened to be born into this family? I would be the worst Kardashian ever. I would be kicked off the show. And so that's kind of where Amelia comes from. She comes from this famous witch family who has a reality show, like the Kardashians, the Karwitchians, one might say. And she gets kicked off the reality show because her magic isn't very on brand.
I love it. The whole concept is great. I'm going to have to check that out. Listen, you guys, I can't wait to see this film. Jonas Chernick and Emily Hampshire. Watch it. The End of Sex in theaters April 28th. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Okay, picture a cell phone and an email machine all in one thing. There is a free wireless internet signal all across North America, and nobody has figured out how to use it. It's like the Force. Sorry, have you seen Star Wars?
No.
The rise of BlackBerry was spectacular, as its phones with keyboards ushered in the era of the smartphone. But just as memorable is its hard landing back down to earth when a certain company named after a fruit brought its might into the fray.
We all know what that fruit is, of course. So joining us live now in the studio from the movie Blackberry is Jay Baruchel, who plays Mike Lazaridis, and Matt Johnson, who directed the film and plays Doug Freegan. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Well, it was an honor to watch this film ahead of time.
Thoroughly enjoyable.
And it was just wow. Like, I know we've seen biopics of like The Social Network, The Big Short, but this one, the fact that it's uniquely Canadian and focuses on a story we know and something that really just created the smartphone is amazing. So, Jay, let's start with you first. We've seen you in a ton of shows, but you really take a dramatic turn in this film. Maybe kind of like the Blackberry did when it became the Storm.
Indeed.
What was that like for you going through this?
Yeah, it was a blast. It was like, well, there's kind of, I have sort of two memories. I have a sort of emotional memory and a physical one. The emotional memory was, oh, we're making a spectacular film. And I trusted the process and was a big fan of MJ's and knew that we were making something special. The physical sort of process and memory was utter misery because those wigs were dreadful and there was a friggin' heat wave in Hamilton. So we were just on Barton East and I was wearing this wig that took 2 hours to put on. Look, it's a good job to have. I don't want to complain too much. People have there's way worse jobs than that. But to answer your question, very sweaty, but also very rewarding.
Okay. Well, Jay, maybe you could have just put a headband on and switched roles with Matt. That might have helped a little bit, because Matt had a really interesting role. But I want to ask you about, Matt, the challenges of playing not the lead character, one of the two lead characters, but a very significant character in the film and directing at the same time. A, have you ever done that before? And B, what was that like?
I'd never worked with real actors before. I only ever made films with my friends. Yeah, truly. I know it seems funny, but Jay, when I first said, oh, let's make this movie together, he was like, okay, yeah, great, no problem. Not realizing that I'd never written a script, and I'd never directed somebody who had lines that they were supposed to say, so that was a big getting used to it.
Yeah.
I assumed, by the way, that we would get to set, and you and I would literally improvise every single scene together, and it was a real fall to earth when I was
rude awakening.
Oh yeah, when I was like, oh
shoot,
we're actually going to follow the script. Yikes. But directing and acting is actually, I think people think it's more complicated than it is. It's the same. It's like you're a coach, and whether you're in front of the camera or behind the camera, you're just trying to get people on the same page.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jay, this film really focuses on three central characters. We just saw Glenn Howerton playing Jim Balsillie, you, and of course your BFF turned not BFF eventually. What did you learn in making this film? What did you learn about Blackberry? First of all, why is it called Blackberry?
Yeah.
I don't think the movie really touches on how that, because you go through the naming process from like a, not a Palm Pilot, but like all these different names.
I wrote corn. I wrote corn was one of them. There's like a list I wrote of all the potential names. Corn, I don't know. It was never going to be called corn. Yeah, exactly.
Very 90s.
In terms of the naming of Blackberry,
in the film, the story that we tell is that Mike was an inveterate fruit eater, and we had Jay eating constant blackberries, and then he gets a stain on his shirt that we zoom in on right before they figure out what it's going to be called. But the reality of why it's called a Blackberry is actually much more bureaucratic than that. And it was that they hired a naming firm and went through millions of names.
Okay.
And it looks kind of like a Blackberry.
Oh,
with
right, with the buttons, the keyboard, which is so essential.
But I will say that they discovered that after they'd named it.
Oh, really?
So it was just a happy accident.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Matt. I don't know. Like, I had a BlackBerry for about a decade, and then when I switched jobs, I switched over to the iPhone. But I missed that physical keyboard. Every single. I wondered if both of you had that similar experience. Like that physical keyboard was such an iconic connect. I mean, he even talks about the satisfying click.
The first thing Jay said when I said let's make a BlackBerry movie was I still use a BlackBerry.
Yeah,
that was only a couple years ago.
I had one until 2 years ago.
Yeah,
literally until 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
until
You must
I
have
was
had a good service.
utterly guilt-tripped by my mother and sister and wife, who just said, you're missing all the group texts about your baby niece.
Right. Yeah.
So what am I supposed to say to that?
Oh my gosh.
Real quick, Jay, before we let you go, what do you make of that? I know you're a Habs guy, so Leafs in the playoffs right now.
Spectacular.
That's what I thought we'd get.
It's the game of the year.
Gosh. Well, listen, guys, the film is incredible. You really represent, the heart and soul and passion of the early days of the film. While you're the brains, and Glenn Howerton as the villain is just wow.
Oh,
I've never seen a public payphone get smashed to smithereens like
That's
that.
very cool.
He damages a few things.
Yeah.
So film gets out on May
12th.
12th. All right. So the new release, updated release, is May 12th. We really look forward to seeing it, guys.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
Thank you very much.
We love CP24, I have to say.
Yay!
This is, on set, we had this channel on all the time.
Really?
It's you know what?
Yeah.
It's the show that has everything. We love it.
Thank you very, very
Wow,
much.
not Jay.
Come on.
Hey,
absolutely the best, yeah.
you're the best.
No,
you're the
no.
best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Abrazizi Shaw scores! Logan Shaw! As the Marlies get one. Here
Okay, playoff hockey is swirling all around Toronto. We're not just talking about the Leafs here. These are Toronto Marlies highlights. They're kicking off their postseason on April the 27th, 6 days away. They'll be doing it on home ice at the Coca-Cola Coliseum.
So joining us live now in the studio is Marlies captain Logan Shaw. Welcome to the show, Logan. Good to have you with us here this morning. So let's talk about the team. I mean, obviously, a great start to the season, but a little shaky during the home stretch. Some issues with consistency. What do you think happened there?
We had a good year. I mean, we have a good group of guys in there right now. I think, I would love to say it's human nature to kind of sit back when, we were kind of guaranteed first place for a while just because of the start. But, we'll be ready when playoff comes. It's a long year. It's, you're going to lose some games, but I think we have the right group of guys in there to make sure that we're ready to go when the puck drops.
And Logan, how would you describe the feeling right now? Not only are you in the playoffs, the Leafs, the sort of, the franchise you're obviously aiming to get to as well, are in the playoffs too. How would you describe that feeling in your locker room that both teams are in the postseason?
Yeah, the organization wants to win, and I mean they did a great job building both teams, and it's been a lot of fun. But I think for us it's about just making sure that we have the mentality of kind of putting the distractions aside and just going to the rink and doing our best. And the Leafs, what they're doing is for them, and what we're going to do is for us, and try to make sure that we can just kind of focus on what we have to do and just keep that within the rink.
So do you watch the Leafs play, or do you try to just focus on what's happening with you? Because I wonder if the challenge is there.
I'm a big Leafs fan.
Okay.
Yeah, I watch them. Yeah, I watch them. But that's, I've been a part of that as well, and it's a lot of fun. What they're going to do, their kind of run that they're trying to go on is, it's fun and it's impressive. So, after game one, and you get a little nervous, but after last night, it was much better for sure.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure many people are excited and relieved about that. Now, before you signed up, or just as you were signing up to join the Marlies, you've been known to kind of talk to all the players and be kind of very into people's heads. So before the playoffs this time around, what do you think the other players are feeling and thinking?
Yeah, I mean, this is the best time of the year, and you do whatever you can to win. And we have a couple of guys on our team that are kind of good at getting under guys' skin, but this is the best time of the year. This is what hockey players play for. You play to win a championship, and for the next 2 months, that's kind of what we dedicate ourselves to.
Logan, what do you see the challenges for the Marlies in the first round coming up?
Getting out of our division. The first 2 rounds are going to be really tough. Everyone in our the 5 teams that made the playoffs in our division are very well evenly matched. Yeah. It's going to be they're going to be tight games. They're going to be hard checking, but I think they're going to be intense. And for us, that's okay. We have a fast team, and we can push the pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, ready to get down to business. Okay, before we let you go, we got to ask you, Logan, what is your pregame pump-up song?
My pregame pump-up song?
Yeah.
I'm pretty heavy. I'm from Cape Breton, so I'm pretty heavy into the Irish Celtic music.
Right
Anything from the Rankins or Great Big Sea, I'm good with. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
That would certainly be very cool. And right now we do have a giveaway to tell you about. But Logan, thanks so much for joining us this morning, and good luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Logan. Appreciate that. Yeah, good luck in the playoffs. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we're telling you, we have a special giveaway. It is 4 tickets and a great swag bag for Game 1 on April 27th of the Marlies playoffs at Coca-Cola Coliseum. So either scan the QR code coming up on your screen, or you can go to cp24.com/contests to enter. To enter, though, you will need the code word And get your pencils or your brain ready. That code word is, or words, Calder Cup. Once again, Calder Cup. Scan the QR code or go to cp24.com/contest to enter. Code word is Calder Cup.
Sorry, what's the code word?
Calder Cup.
All right, good luck getting to the cup, Logan. Thanks again for being here.